Today is a bit of a departure from the norm. It's Thursday, April something. And instead of making my calls in the morning, I'm actually headed from St. Pete to Tampa to a wonderful spot called Armature Works. The first Thursdays of every month is what we call, is a group called Rise Up Realtors. We meet, we network, we discuss, we give our commentary on what's going on and tips about how we can help each other or how we're helping ourselves in this changing market. The market has basically moved from the seller's market of the pandemic to a typical buyer's market, which is, homes sitting on 5 to 7 months on average. But the whiplash is really, really dramatic for a lot of agents. So, and me particularly, because this is when I'm basically getting my business started. So I'm going to turn off the things I'm cooking for the dogs. Making their breakfast. The dogs can feel the energy because normally I'm, basically in shorts and a t-shirt all day dialing. And then the moment they saw me getting dressed, they're like, "Oh, we're going out. Are we going out?" And we are. Come. Lucky for me, Armature Works is a pet-friendly spot. So they get to come and hopefully not be too much of an annoyance to the other guests at Armature Works. They usually sit down. I bring a water bowl. They enjoy themselves and they learn a lot about real estate, I hope. So in their next lives, when they come back, maybe they'll come back as a client. All right, see you guys in Tampa. You guys ready? What? Okay, she's ready to go. Talk to you soon.
9:58. Continue on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, I'm gonna be maybe 20 minutes late to, let me lower the volume. I'm going to be about 20 minutes late to the Rise Up Realtors event. Unfortunately, it typically lasts between an hour and 90 minutes because when you get a bunch of agents in the room, we like to talk. I already texted my friends like, "Hey, I'm coming. I'm late." I normally don't come just because it's during my call hours. But as I mentioned, networking is really important. And if you're just making calls every day, you're doing what you need to do, but you're missing a portion of what it is to be a real estate agent. That is, the part that you're missing is the relationship you have with other realtors. Now, that isn't necessarily going to be the start and end of your career, but having other agents, one, gives you good insight as to what's going on in the market, because everyone's playing in different places. I primarily, my book of business, my portfolio, as we call it, is in the counties surrounding Tampa. So that's Pinellas, that's Hillsborough, that's Manatee, and that's Sarasota counties. I generally haven't had any business yet in Pasco County. But, these agents are coming from all over and they appreciate the networking and they're giving me insights as to what they're doing, what's going on. But more importantly, I'm able to create a personal connection with them. And the really cool thing about that is when I do have a question, if I can't reach my broker, for example, I can't reach my team lead, I get a slew of other people, different brokerages, different companies with different levels of experience from different aspects of real estate that I can say, "Hey, I got this buyer that has this problem A, or my seller's having problem B, this listing's not going anywhere. You brought it down to a great price. Well, what would you suggest?" And you're getting a lot of good answers or a lot of different answers, which you can synthesize to make one great solution for your client and for your business. The other thing is also the other first ones to tell you, "Hey, I just got a listing. It's such bedroom, such baths in this location. Do you know anyone that might want it? And do you have any clients that are interested?" I can say yes, I can say no. Or if there's a pocket listing, a listing that isn't public on the MLS yet, they'll give you that information and then you can go around looking through your database to see if you can find someone and then hopefully give them the opportunity to get a deal before it even hits the market, and vice versa. That's the wonderful thing. Also, like I mentioned, my area is about 4 counties wide, which is from where I live to the extent is roughly about 2.5 hours wide. I don't always want to drive 2.5 hours for a listing appointment. I don't always want to drive 2.5 hours to do an open house or double check to make sure that the last agent that was there locked the doors. So if I have a friend that I meet or a colleague that I meet at these events who lives, let's say, in Sarasota, and I have a listing in Sarasota, maybe that's an opportunity for them to do an open house. Maybe that's an opportunity for them, if I get a connection that's even further out, to say, "Hey, I have a client that's interested. Do you want to go 50-50 on it?" I've already made the conversation, I already got them to sign, but I know I can't service that client the way I could if they're in St. Pete, Clearwater, or Tampa. That's an opportunity for them to make a listing. That's an opportunity for me to get a 30, 40, 50% referral. It's exciting, but that's why I'm okay taking a day off from making my calls this month, because Rise Up Realtors is once a month. Or if there's other events like pitch meetings, etc. I used to avoid those things because I want to call, I want to make those appointments. But let's say I make an appointment and it's a little bit further than I want to go. That doesn't mean that it's a first world problem. But if I have a colleague that lives in that same town, maybe they can do the open house. If they're a really great agent with a great track record, maybe it's better for me to give that opportunity to them to list it, and I take it as a referral because they live in that backyard. They know it better than I do living here in St. Pete. So I've realized in like these last 8 months, networking is the one part of my business that I haven't focused on, and and I've learned a long time in sales, the one thing you're not doing is the one thing that's holding you back. So I realized, I lose 3 or 4 hours today calling. I'll still call in the afternoon, do my circle prospecting, etc. I'll still do my follow-up calls. But, making the person-to-person, skin-to-skin connection, having them see my face, putting a face to the voice and to the name, it's really important, not just for me and my career, but for my clients that I have and the clients I want to get in the future. And, that's grinding teaches you the things that you don't like. It also teaches you where your bottlenecks are. My bottleneck now is 2.5 hours away. If I'm calling someone who happens to be 2.5 hours away, what do? I used to say, fine, I'll go. But now that's 5 hours, just to have a conversation. And now what if I win? What if I get the listing? Now I have to be there for open houses, now I have to be there to go over paperwork. It's just more profitable for me and a better use of my time to have an agent that's a friend that's willing to A, do that instead of me, or B, lives in that area and just happens to come to Tampa every once in a while to do networking. So I've learned the hard way, and Rise Up Realtors is a wonderful resource and that I've underutilized my first 8 months, and I plan not to make that mistake for the rest of my career. All right. Well, what I need to do better at is getting off the phone with clients, because I'm going to be 20 minutes late because I was doing a prospecting call that I didn't have to take that extra call, but it's my habit to do that one extra call. And, I didn't get the listing appointment, but, it's a good muscle memory to keep making calls and etc. so that I don't totally throw away the day in terms of the work that actually makes me money. All right, talk to you later.
You deserve. That's the Anadron Levine difference. Get your free.
Here we are, about to go find some place to park. It's so interesting the difference
Take
between
the next
coming
right
here
onto
during the
Market
week
Street. Then your
and coming here
destination will
during the
be on the
weekends.
left.
And the weekends I'd be parking where you're looking right now, here in the fields. But during the week, and I'll be paying for it. But during the week, I can park right there where it's normally valet for free. It's so interesting. All right, I'm here in Tampa at Armature Works. It's an amazing venue when you think about it. I'm going to meet up with about a dozen other agents and realtors and learn and exchange. They're not often interested in being on camera, so I probably won't film when I get in there. But you'll be on for me for the other half of the day when I'm going to go to my quadruplex listing in Ybor. I got to film some stuff for the open houses and just some general marketing that I want to do every week as we do for open houses, for brokers opens, for all those other things. When people want to see the property, when they say, hey, I'm an investor from Kansas or whatever, like I got a call last week, can you show me the property? I'm like, sure. When were you coming? They said, no, can you send me a video? I forget that people do that. So I'll do a quick walkthrough. I did that already, but they don't want to look at the website. They want to see some things and ask me questions when I get there. Anything to sell the property. All right. Talk to you guys later.
You do that at all?
We're allowed to delay the entry on the IPX websites. The Zillows and all that. It's still marketed. Like those people that say, I don't want people walking my open house. I don't want people. It helps with that because you're still publicizing the listing. What you're doing. I don't know, but like the people that have me excited about people walking through, because I've had it 5 times when someone says, I don't want to do open houses. And I'm like, well, it's the best way to get people to come through. Yeah, but then they touch me, whatever. That's a way you basically.
But that's the same. That's the same as outside.
All right, that was a wonderful, wonderful meeting networking, gathering, all of the above. I got a lot of feedback. I mean, I should attend these meetings more often. I missed the last three. But that was good. I got a lot of good input in terms of what's going on in the different parts of the Tampa Bay. And I was also able to contribute what I'm doing specifically with my duplexes, quadplexes, and my listings that are sitting, because we are in a buyer's market. What I've been doing in terms of conversations about pricing, conversation about private pricing strategy, how I come about it, the reports I use on showing time in our MLS. That's a tool in our MLS that I use to show my sellers what the buyers are actually asking for at different price points and how it's been helping. So yeah, the Rise Up Realtors meeting here at Armature Works was really awesome. I'm looking forward to the one next month and maintaining some new relationships that I met, 2 new agents that are both in it more recently than me. So yeah, that's the end of this video. My name is Christian DeBouche, licensed real estate agent with Real Broker, and I help families buy and sell homes here in the Gulf Coast communities of Tampa Bay, as well as the other communities here in Sarasota, Hillsborough, and Manatee counties. Talk to you later.